are deliberately forgetting who you really are. You are deliberately forgetting who you really are.
I think I like looking at Paul. Now he can't just sneak off while we're talking. And
I don't know. I
like,
think I
go on
snuck
to the
off
other
that
room.
one time.
Are we taking
Yeah.
shots?
Oh, I didn't get. Oh, I gotta go grab my whiskey. I got. What do you have this week, Head? While I go in the other room.
I can do whiskey or any of the other options. Is this the first
I
week
just
we
have a-
actually?
I just
Paul
have a
didn't get
mix.
his
I don't-
shots yet.
Paul.
I just have a mix. I have a mix.
Paul.
A mix of whiskeys? That's disgusting. You're an animal.
He's got a big guy.
It's
so don't
actually,
waste your
it's
shooters,
actually
Keith.
Jameson.
Drink whatever.
I'm
you
not
want.
doing shooters. Well, one of the things that you listed to get in the shooters was that bullet, right?
Mm-hmm.
The bullet bourbon.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So we had over the 4th of July, we did a thing at my mom's house just because we were house sitting, and we just bought a bottle of bullet, and we drank like 2 shots out of it. So I have a big bottle of bullet. That's what I'm drinking. So
I guess that'll do.
what are you doing, Header?
I'm doing some proper 12.
Oh, you're doing. Is that what you had last time?
Yeah. I still have
Okay.
a huge bottle of it.
Same thing. And
Since you guys
who's
aren't
that?
doing the little
You said
shooters.
did you say that's that Conor McGregor's?
Yeah. It's
Whiskey?
McGregor's
Okay.
little sponsored company.
Cool. I didn't
So
know
I
if he
think- I don't
sponsors it.
follow that
Does he sponsor it or is his company?
I could care less and have no idea.
He
I just always see him with
he-
it.
he takes a shot of that and then he beats up a Greyhound bus. Have you ever seen
Dude,
him when he gets out of control and he just like smashes windows and like beats up cars and stuff?
How much of that is just like totally planned out, and how much of it is him just being crazy?
It's just like boxing. I'd say it's 80% probably.
Yeah, but that
staged
guy
and
he
just,
he like goes to court and has to like go to jail
I know.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Probably makes money off of it.
He probably loses money, dude. People probably sue him.
To the city, but probably makes more money off the controversy.
Yeah, that's a good
people
point.
like
Yeah,
that
when
stuff.
you're making 100, what is it, like 100? Well, you made like $100 million off that one fight,
Who knows?
or was it 200
Something like
million?
that.
It was something crazy. Maybe not. That sounds crazy when I say it out loud. It may
No,
not be that
I
much.
don't know. I think you're right.
It was 100, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Did you get your whiskey, Keith?
Yeah, I heard. Oh, are we doing shot? What are you doing, Paul? You never said what you were doing.
I did. I put it up. I put it down on the ground. Hold on.
Oh, well, see on Skype
I had
if I have
There
it
we
on
go.
if I have it on a certain window what is that? Ooh, when I have it on a certain window on
Yeah.
Skype, like when one of you's talking, the other picture goes away. So you probably held it up while
Yeah.
Head was talking.
That's how
so I
mine
didn't see it.
is, I think, too.
Yeah,
All right,
that would be
cool.
that would be
Probably
awesome if I had a picture flashing back and forth between both of you. You know, where I could see both.
You
of
just
you.
have to Paul.
What-
I'll get
What a
my
terrible thing you've got to
webcam.
put up with, Keith, since you're the only one that didn't get their camera going. Great job.
Dude, I'm actually so upset because I'm usually the one the IT guy that can figure it out, but it beat me. I had to surrender. It beat me. All right, you call it, Head. Give us a cheers.
What do you mean?
Give us a cheers. you
Cheers
can't
to
think of
podcast boys. Let's get it going.
Here we go.
Cheers. I'm pretty much
disgusting.
I'm a horrible human being. I'm just drinking right out of the bottle.
That's good.
Yeah.
Ugh. I just poured half of mine down my torso.
All right.
Wish I
Put it in your mouth.
would have drank out of the bottle. So yeah, what's going on? How's it going?
Opening shot. Yeah.
Is that
Good.
Paul's new favorite? Paul's like, it's my favorite thing to do on a podcast. Is a shot.
There we go.
It's
I'm
like,
wussed out.
I
just
hate
had
this
that mixed drink.
podcast, but I love
Did
taking.
you say
the
you
shots
wussed
with the
out?
boys. Yeah.
So let's talk about these push-ups that I keep getting these texts, and I see Head keeps doing these push-ups, but I don't think anybody else is doing them.
I haven't seen a video lately. Head, are you still doing it?
I completely stopped.
Oh, okay.
I got upset.
Well,
With you
you go.
guys.
What's
I got
that?
upset with you guys. I got sick of sending the videos by myself all the time. Every day I'd wait for the videos or photos. The ones that I got were great. You guys suck at keeping up with stuff, though. So I completely stopped. I gave up. But I have a new idea. Are you ready to hear?
Yeah.
Okay, here's my idea. I wrote you
like
guys over the last week, and I asked you about how you feel about doing what? Singing songs.
Oh God, I'm not
You
doing
guys
that.
both hated the idea.
we said
okay.
no.
All right. So here we go. Here's the new challenge. We start the push-up challenge back up again. 10 push-ups a day. If you can't do 10 push-ups a day, you're a pussy. That's all I know. If you don't send your video, the first one to not send their video has to sing a song on the podcast. And
Whoa,
we're
wait,
gonna
wait,
make fun
wait,
of
wait.
and goof on
Like
you.
to not the first one to like in the day to send it, or are you saying like if we don't send
The
one?
first one to not send their push-up video for the day. If it gets past midnight and you haven't sent your video, you're singing a fucking song. Bottom line.
Do the other people get to choose the song?
Yes. Because I have a great one that I
Oh.
wish one of you would try to sing.
All right. So here's the thing with me is like, I'll admit that I did do it at work one time, but I feel
So
very
it's an
silly
option.
doing it at work. Filming myself doing push-ups at work, I'll never live that down. So I'll just have to close my door and do it with no one watching.
So you're embarrassed?
I'm not embarrassed. It's just like, here's the thing. It's
Gotta
not a
be
matter of being
embarrassed to be a
embarrassed.
pussy.
It's a matter of having to explain yourself to somebody else. You're just like, I don't want to explain this. I just want to. But actually, I don't care. All right, so
What's
I'm
so
in
wrong
head.
with you? Why can't
I'm
you
tell-
just be doing push-ups?
because
why you
who
gotta
just
expla- why do you
because
have to
you're the
explain
only
yourself to
crazy
anybody about
person
doing a
that sits in a
push-up?
room and does push-ups all day by themselves. I'm okay. Well,
All
I'm in
day,
head.
it's 10 push-ups. It takes
Head.
10 seconds.
Head. I'm in. I'll do it.
We've
I'm
been
game.
doing this. It's been so hot here. We've been doing this like app on the Apple TV. This like workout type app. Everybody does
Okay.
it. We get out our mats. We clear all the and it's you can do like 6-minute sessions, 12-minute sessions, and I think 30. But we just do the 12-minute, and it's been crazy. It's been pretty cool because you can go in and say, okay, we want push-ups, we want squats, we want you just crunches. You kind of go in and tell what exercises you want. You can set up custom exercises based upon what you want to do, just legs, just arms, whatever. But we've been doing that, so the whole family's been in there, and we've been doing like wall sits, where you sit against the wall straight up, So yeah, so we need to definitely, the push-ups always kill me in that section.
Yeah.
And you just do 12 minutes straight, and it gives you about 20 seconds in between each set of reps, to rest before you have to
pretty
start
cool.
again.
So
it's been,
I'd say if you do anything like that, like a workout regimen or something like that that's 30 minutes
Yeah.
long, that can count as your 10 push-ups for sure. Because 10 push-ups
like I
aren't that
did,
hard,
yeah.
and it takes about 10 seconds. So it's like
I
if you're
did,
going to do
yeah.
something that actually is working out, obviously, all right, maybe you could take a break from that, but you better send in a video that has proof, or you're singing a song, and I've got a good one.
Like I sent you guys a picture this morning. I did my 3 miles this morning. I got up at 6:30 and ran my 3 miles before it was 100 and whatever it is.
You're an
I
asshole.
sent you the picture. But what I'm saying is I should have got down on the ground and just done my 10, but I was lazy and I
But you
could
would've
have just
burned-
done
but you
10
burned your hands
push-ups
off.
and saved your 3-mile run.
I should have. That's what I should have done. I
All right,
should've
so
just
we
done my
we
push-ups.
starting it tomorrow then?
Shit, let's start it right now.
I'm already in another.
So are
All
we
right.
all in?
Starting
already
Push-ups
tomorrow.
a day. Send some kind of video of either your workout or your push-ups by midnight. We're all on the same time frame as of right now.
Can we do like a 7-day like kind of grace period? Just because I don't mind sending the video, but I think one of us is gonna. One of us-
7 days.
Well, because I
What
think
does
one of
that
I think
even
one of us
mean?
is gonna forget. I think we need to get it implemented into our schedule. 'cause
I think
someone's gonna forget.
the whole
like
point.
The first
I
7
think-
days, it's okay.
I
Yeah,
think-
just like
to-
if
to
we
miss-
mess it
that's
up.
fine with
Yeah,
me.
just to get it
I-
integrated into our lives.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of it is someone like to mess up and forget to make them sing the song. I think
Well,
Head
for
is
sure.
trying to trick
Well,
us.
that's what that's where I was going with it. I didn't
Or
the
find
point
something
could
you
be
guys
just
didn't
for us
want
to all
to do,
get
and I
into
found
shape.
it.
All right,
yeah,
so starting tomorrow.
All right. And we have a week grace for Paul.
A
We can have
week.
Well, Paul can have a week grace period. If you want
Oh my
one, you can
gosh.
have one. I can send 10 push-ups a day.
All
I'm
right.
setting a reminder on my phone right now. So
I know. I
Send
need
me
to
the
set an alarm.
reminder.
I'll forget.
Add me into that. Invite me into that reminder. I'm sitting here having the podcast with you guys with the windows open because it's so hot.
Wait.
Or the house is so hot.
Do you have AC?
No, dude, it's California.
Ugh. God,
You pay
kill
double
me.
for rent, and they say, "Oh, you don't need AC, man. You just go to the beach." I'm like, I don't want to go to the beach. I want to come home and watch some TV and some air conditioning. But so some windows are open right now, and it just reeks of burning rubber. I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the ship, but it's the USS Bonham. Bonham? I don't know. Bonham Richard. It's basically a Navy ship that was parked in the harbor, and this morning around 8 o'clock, something happened in the cargo area. Something blew up. Something caught on fire. At this point, I don't even know if they really know. But yeah, the thing's just been smoking and been on fire. I think it was on fire up to like 4 hours ago. I'm not sure what's going on right at the moment, but yeah, it just reeks of like. I pulled off at the liquor store to grab some Stellas. We'll talk about that later. But I pulled out, and I thought I had been driving with my emergency brake on. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
I've done
exactly what
that
you're
once
talking about.
before, and I've like never done it again. But I can remember that smell. It's like, oh my god, like something's wrong, you know. But yeah, I got out of the car, and that smell just hit me. And then some guy's like, "It's the ship that's on fire," you know. And I was
And
at
you're like,
Lowe's bar
"What?"
earlier working, and you know, I saw it on the news, and it's crazy that it, you know, we're over 20, 25 miles away, and it's just terrible smelling out here. It's wild.
You said it's a Navy ship?
Explosion. Yeah.
It said something in the cargo bay. It was parked at sea. It's a 1,000 person, over 1,000 person ship or something like that.
Yeah, it's huge.
They said this morning something happened in the cargo bay. They have about 17. I can't remember if it's 17 sailors and 4 San Diegans at the hospital right now. But yeah, a bunch of people got messed up, and yeah, it's kind of weird.
You said some people got messed up. Were there casualties, or they just everybody got?
At this point, I don't know if there's any casualties. I just think there's a bunch of people at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things. I just got home from work, and you know what I mean? I'm smelling burnt rubber. I find out what it is. I'm like, oh, I saw that on the news, you know, and I like get home and start typing and stuff. So it's just wild, you know. It just happened this morning. So, you know, it'll be crazy to check into, but I hope everybody's all right.
They're probably transporting some Element 115 on that ship.
Yep. Exactly.
Little go fast got him.
Yeah.
Little
I work, one of my chiefs, he used to, gosh, I shouldn't quote this, or not quoting him, but I don't know this whole story, but he used to be like a firefighter on the water, a naval firefighter. Like he wasn't in the Navy, but whatever you want to call that. But it's kind of a crazy job if you think about it, because
for sure.
Yeah, especially if like you just think, well, if you want to put out a fire on a ship, just sink this ship. But I'm sure there's probably some stuff on there they want to save.
Or it's a bajillion.
Yeah, and it didn't look like. I mean, they looked like they were getting it under control. They had a couple boats shooting the water into there. I mean, but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you see all those big Navy ships all lined up down there where you guys have them. I mean, they're literally like parked in their like cars, like in a parking lot.
Yep, exactly.
So,
you know, and just all the people living on there and stuff. It's
yeah,
just so scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For those
it's
young
kind of
kids
like mass chaos.
They're like, I have nothing else to do with my life. I'm going to do something good for myself. I'm going to join the Navy. And your fucking boat explodes in the fucking harbor. How terrible. How fucking terrible.
And it's like a burnt cheese crisp or grilled cheese or something. Started it all. We got one of those.
I thought it'd be funny if
of,
it was like someone's vapor thing in their in their luggage.
Yeah.
They were trying to like sneak onto the ship to like smoke some tobacco or smoke some weed or something. I don't know.
Do they let you
see
smoke on those
videos of
ships?
the kids' vapes
I don't
exploding in their
think
pocket?
so.
Are you allowed to
actually,
smoke in the
they may.
military?
I don't know.
Like, are you allowed to smoke cigarettes in the military? Do they have like
smoking
smoke
section, I
breaks?
believe on
Probably
military ships.
probably on like I don't think you can smoke like inside.
Oh
No, but I just mean
Oh,
like.
okay, yeah. I thought you said like in the ships, but you mean like just on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
didn't know if they
Little
were
section
if they had
reserved
smoking
outside.
sections, you know.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean,
Sure.
all those guys in
Most
the
of
military,
those
dude,
kids.
all of them chew tobacco. So I don't know how you could let them chew tobacco and not smoke,
ones
right?
But don't they
And the
chew
ones that
tobacco?
don't,
Doesn't
they
most
smoke.
people? Don't most people chew tobacco though because they can't smoke? Isn't that why
Dude.
they? Isn't that kind of?
I used to work with a guy that would chew tobacco and smoke at the same time. So
That's a
Oh
ba-
my
I mean-
goodness, that's
Keith,
that's strong.
that's
What?
what you call a man.
oh, dude.
That is crazy.
He's a badass. Whoever that is, you should
so-
go shake his
It's like
hand
John
tomorrow,
Wayne.
and you should apologize. For
I'm
your
not gonna.
wussiness.
I'm not gonna say who he is because I don't want to get him in trouble. Because I'm gonna tell you a story about him, and I don't want to get him in trouble now. But dude, one day, I don't know if I want to tell this story, but I'm just gonna tell it. It's fine. But one day I was at work when we used to like prank each other at this one station I worked. I'm not gonna say what station it was at. We used to prank each other a lot. And
telling us, but you're not gonna tell us.
one day at this station, I fell asleep. Like I was hungover, not like drunk, but hungover, like just tired or something. So I fell asleep, in the afternoon, and I was just like crashed out on a recliner. And the dude put a maximum strength nicotine patch on me.
Yeah.
Dude,
When you were
that
sleeping?
when I was sleeping, it fucked me up so bad.
Wow.
And we 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 had a
love
call.
this
I
guy.
can't remember what happened, but the tones went off. We had a call, so I got up. Then I got up to run this call, dude. And I went to stand up, and I was like so lightheaded. Like when you first stand up, you get real lightheaded.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I was
Yeah.
so lightheaded. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what the fuck? And then, dude, it fucked me up really bad. I wanted to ask you about you giving blood because you gave I don't think you told us that you gave blood. I just saw
Boys,
you had a picture of you that said first time blood donor on it. I was laughing because it's like they give those to kids or something. But then I realized
pretty
kids
much.
probably aren't giving blood a whole bunch. But I thought it was funny.
But yes, for sure. So yeah, it was kind of funny. I was gonna try to keep it a little bit of a secret and kind of just wait to talk to you guys about it on here and have a little bit more of a first impression. But yeah, so I went down to the San Diego Blood Bank, scheduled an appointment. Those guys were like pretty on point with everything as far as being careful and safe. Everybody had to do everything by appointment only. They weren't allowing anybody in the doors until your actual appointment time. So it was basically like one person at a time could enter the building, which, I was like, I don't mind. I was like, I'll sit outside all day long and wait. I don't care. But I was able to go in. I guess so. Keith, you were kind of asking. You're like, well, what about because you smoke weed and stuff? So of course that was like one of my major questions. When I set up my appointment, they didn't ask me anything about it. They said, have you traveled to Tijuana in the last 4 months?
I didn't think about that because you're so close to the border.
There's certain areas, and I was like, well, no, but I have got teeth work done in Tecate, Mexico. And they're like, nope, that doesn't count. That's not part of the, I don't know, a certain kind of zone or something that they would need to be worried about.
So
I
what?
got in
So
there.
just TJ, but nowhere else?
There's certain zones on going outside of the U.S. that they were worried about. I'm guessing that it's overpopulation or crowding or amount of people, but they were more concerned about Tijuana versus Tecate, which is, I think, about an hour, I would say, away from each other.
Is this just a COVID question, or are these questions they always ask?
That I'm not sure.
I'm
them
trying to
the
figure out
most
what they were
honest
trying
way.
to get at with that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they were referring to. And of course I was like, what? I'm offering up too much information. I've been over here. I got a root canal, and then I had to go back 2 weeks. They're like, sir, it's okay. That doesn't count. And I was like, and I've been to Hawaii. I was like, does Hawaii count? I flew over the water. I was in an airplane. They're like, sir, that does not count. I did not ask you anything about Hawaii. So basically,
Yeah.
I'm
they
guessing
probably thought you were like trying to talk yourself out of being able to do it or something. They're like, sorry, we don't need your
Give
excuses.
me a reason. Give me a reason.
Yeah.
But they never asked about the weed thing. I went down there. There was a nice little pamphlet that you did have to fill out There was an information pamphlet that went with it. You had to legally read through the information pamphlet before you could actually fill out the document. The document asked, God, I can't remember, man, 42 questions or something like that.
Seems
Everything
excessive.
was pretty simple. They asked about like drug use through needles and stuff like that. They were more worried about, which obviously makes sense. And coming from San Diego, and there's like 400 dispensaries, you know what I mean, in like each city area. I'm guessing if they were super worried about it, maybe one out of the 42 questions would be, do you smoke marijuana? You know what I mean? And there was nothing like that on there.
Well, I don't think they're worried about. I don't think they're worried about any drugs being in the blood. I think they're worried about the like using drugs, like using needles and stuff, and getting like some blood
Correct.
illness.
What is it? Intravenous?
Yeah, intravenous drug use. That's why I asked you about the drug. If you're worried about them asking you drug stuff.
I'm not shooting up a bunch of weed or anything.
No. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know what the time frame is on that. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
did they say like, have you ever used any hardcore drugs in the last? Did they say 5 years, or did they just say like ever?
Honestly, there was very little stuff about drug use on there, except for the main thing they were worried about, I'm guessing, is the intravenous drug use. There was not really much else on there, and there was plenty of other weirder, you know what I mean, just kind of weird stuff. You know, that I did answer, so it's not like they were like being weird about it. You know, they're like, this is what we consider sexual, conduct with another person, and they had to have like a whole pamphlet that explained, when we say ask this means, you know, this to this person, or male to male, this to person, and they had it all diagrammed and laid out there. So
they had diagrams even.
You know what I mean? Pictures and different little cartoon characters.
Shut up, really?
Not doing it or anything, but just like up in the corners and stuff. Like it, if they wanted to ask about fucking if you smoked weed, my question after looking at the 42 questions, the information pamphlet, nothing said anything about weed. And I'm guessing from Southern California, if that was a concern, they would have said, have you smoked marijuana before? You know?
No, I don't think they give a shit about the weed. I was more interested about the other, the beyond weed stuff.
I was questioning it, though, to be completely honest with you. I don't know how much that affects the blood, and you know what I mean, if that's good or bad. So how it kind of works is I went in and I go, well, what am I here for? You know? And they're like, well,
sir, you're at a blood bank. If you don't know why you're here, you may want to leave.
So, more or less, they went in the back. They did a little test on my blood to test the coagulity, how fast it coagulates.
Yeah.
So, like some people, it coagulates faster than others, and they are also testing the color of the blood. So, I guess I can't remember if the bluer the blood is, the better, or if the less oxygen it gets is better. I don't know if that's the same thing, but something with the oxygen mixing with the blood and the color changing from blue to red had something to do about it. So she checked that out, and made sure everything was good. So I guess how it kind of works, and this is kind of where I was like, what am I here for? What am I doing? I guess they do a basic blood draw. And I sat there for about 20 minutes. She was a beast. Just fucking threw that thing in there, no problem, right through all my tattoos. I have a black arm and like the flower in the other armpit or the other ditch. And that girl just tossed it in there first thing. Sat there for a little bit. More or less how it works is they actually will link everything to their website, where I'll have my own profile, where they will post all of my information. So they'll let me know my blood type. Like I was saying, I never knew my blood type, and I thought that was silly as a human being. I don't know my own blood type. But they'll post that. They'll post about the coronavirus, what's it called?
Antibodies?
the antibodies. So basically, and I asked about that. I go, so what exactly does that mean? You know? And she goes, basically what it means is they will let you know if you've ever had the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that test is only 50% accurate. But it does. But I don't think you can get a false positive. I think you can just get a false negative. I'm gonna have to look at that again. At the same time,
the only reason I'm doing it is just for the blood giving anyway. So
well, shit, dude. At least you do it for free. It's free too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was part of it. And I didn't really even notice it at first, but that was one of the things that obviously when you go to the blood banks, that is something that they will let you know right now. If you come in and give blood, we will give you that test, and we'll send you that, those results, and at least you'll know if you have had it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm guessing they're saying if you've had it, obviously you have some kind of strength
antibody
or stability or antibody to it, where it's not going to affect you as bad as, you know what I mean?
They've been using people with antibodies to using their blood for treatments for people that have it too. So.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If you do have the antibodies, you should donate more blood. I think you can only do it every 2 weeks or something, but because they're using that blood to treat people, which is pretty kind of important right now. Because with all the cases are going up, but there's the same amount of people are dying, so it sounds like they're getting better at treating it, which it's not going away, so we may as well get good at treating it.
Hurry Up and Die is proud to represent and have Jumpline Coffee as our first sponsor for our podcast. Before Jumpline Coffee was a sponsor, I was a customer. I believed in these guys and the great coffee they were producing. Jumpline Coffee is owned and operated by 2 firefighters that love and need coffee. These are the guys we count on in a time of need. They dedicate a portion of their proceeds to local and national nonprofits that focus on mental health and first responders, military, and nurses. So guys, please visit Jumpline Coffee to place an order now. Use the promo code HURRYUP for 20% off your specialty coffee, branded t-shirts, and mugs. Support those you count on. So boys, I was able to talk to Issa Holiday from Slow Crush this week. I did a nice little interview with her. I cannot believe how, nice and down-to-earth this girl is. I had asked some other people that I was into to do some interviews, or let me chat with them, or, people that seemed they had a lot to say online, and it just never, it just never happened. This girl wrote this girl in Belgium. That's where she's from. My dumbass, I never thought. I don't know. We'll get to that.
Well, let's back it up and let me start it, because we got to start off with, first off. So we've been doing this now. What are we on? Episode whatever it is, 6, 7, whatever it is.
8?
But yeah, well, as the time that people are listening to, yeah, who knows what we're at. But
yeah.
I guess so. Head comes to Keith and I, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do something. Let's do some other stuff. Let's do some interviews. And we're just all game. We're like, yeah, whatever you want, man. Whatever. Whoever. I don't know who wants to do it, but sure, if you can find someone to come on." Excuse me, I had a cough. So anyway, he comes to us and says, "Hey, that band Slow Crush," and he had sent me this, I don't know, a little while back, and I kind of gave it the Morelos Forest kind of, I think I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I'm like, that sounds all like Morelos Forest, which just proves once again, man, some of those old Tooth and Nail bands just way ahead of its time, right? People didn't understand Morelos Forest. They were one of the They were one of the more popular bands if you were cool and you knew the cool bands of Tooth and Nail, but they were the most least commercial, right? They didn't sell anything. So when you sent that over, I was like,
the most commercial thing was probably that they had a girl singer.
Yeah, and it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool music. And so when you had sent me over this Slow Crush and you had said, "Hey, let's interview some people," so I'll let you pick it up from there. It wasn't like this just came to be and you started asking people. I know you've been wanting to do this for a while. So when you why did you decide? I know you got shot down a couple times. Why did you decide to go with them? Is it just
Shut up,
because they
Keith.
said yes? Is it only because they said yes?
It's so
Your
funny.
fucking interview's next,
It's
asshole.
so funny because he's like, honestly, I'm right there with you. It's just so funny because we were talking about trying to do an interview a couple weeks ago or whatever, or a while ago, and I just felt so bad because his head was like all gung ho about it. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna ask. I got a couple people in mind." You remember how long we talked about? I don't want to say the guy's name now because I don't want to throw shade at the guy, but Head talked about that fucking guy for like 3 weeks about, or like 2 weeks about that guy's album and oh my god, all this shit. And he's like, I'm gonna talk to him. And then like that next day, I talked to him and he's like, "Oh yeah, he said no." I'm like, "Well, why?" He just said no. That was it. I'm like, what a waste. But I don't know. It was funny. I'm glad you got to do an interview though. No, I really like the idea. I think it's so funny to me because obviously we know each other. Like we've known each other forever. So like the idea of like you calling somebody and having an interview with them is funny to me because I know you personally, but that girl doesn't know you at all. So I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
but
it's
no,
hilarious to me, man.
Dude,
no,
it
it's good.
It was so good, and and obviously everyone's going to be able to hear it as soon as we're done and we shut up about it. But it was so good too, Keith. Because like it was, Head told me, some of the pre-stuff. He's like, I'm kind of nervous. I got to get these questions done. I got, and I'm like, I've never seen him prepare anything like this before. Maybe, I mean,
he found his new calling.
Between like his cubing that he does, which could be a whole other episode. I've seen him organized. That is really organized, right? But I'm just like, wow, man, he's getting his crap together. He's getting all ready to go. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go down and get some Stellas, and we're gonna have a beer together, And that's what I thought was funny to kind of dive in. And I don't want to give too many spoilers on the interview, but I thought that was funny how she kind of challenged you on the drinking because I don't think. Keith, I think she's thinking like, oh, yeah, right, he'll go out and get some beers, right? She didn't know who she was dealing with, right? And so
I don't think anybody ever knows what they're dealing with him.
No, so I think that's what was super funny at the beginning. First thing, like, within the first 10 minutes of the interview, she's like, well, did you get the beers? And I'm thinking she's thinking, like, calling his bluff, right? Like, this guy hasn't gotten any beers. And Head's like, yeah, I've got a whole bucket of them. And what was funny is she actually was super cool. It seemed like she was a really super cool person because she even went out and tried to find like a beer, Keith, that was kind of like a Mexican beer. Like she called it like tequila.
I don't want to give it away. She said it's like a pussy beer or something.
Yeah.
And she said, it's a beer that they give to kids or something.
She said it's an intro beer or something.
Yeah, beer they give to kids.
So nice. She goes, that's an intro beer.
I was laughing. Dude, I was laughing so hard. I think I was laughing at Head just because, again, just to go back to what I was saying, because I know Head, obviously, but just to be that girl, Liz talking to Head and probably just thinking to yourself, what the hell is this guy talking about all the time? But I thought it was really good, especially when he was talking about, he's like, I think I've been there, but I can't remember.
Hold on, let's not talk too much about it, though.
Okay, but still, you don't know when you've been in another country. It's pretty funny. You have to at least.
But yeah, there was definitely a lot of stuff where I did do a lot of preparing. I sat and I wrote questions out. I mean, you should see some of the questions I didn't ask. You know what I mean? That's the dangerous part. This girl was such a good sport and was so down for it, Yeah, so I just couldn't believe how welcoming, how nice this girl was. Yes, a couple people turned me down. This girl from Belgium, took her time out of her night. We did schedule it out a little bit. I said, hey, what do you guys drink over there? Because I go, our podcast, we definitely do some drinking. I go, it's kind of how it started, with all of us. But, so she goes, well, I live next to, a certain factory, a Stella factory. And I go, done. I go, I'll talk to you whenever, and it's actually her birthday today. So, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Lisa.
that's awesome.
Are we ready to do another shot or what?
Yeah, let's do it. Gosh dang, I was going to say something and you went on that little tirade. Oh, no, what I was going to say, dude, the more and more I think about it, with how you wanted to interview those other guys you were talking about, and
Yeah.
it ended up that she was your first interview, dude. You lucked out so good because she was like the
Fuck
perfect
yeah.
first interview. Could you imagine if like your first one was just like super awkward and weird and the people didn't want to talk? And
Dude,
man, she was
so
great.
nice.
She was great.
And would start you know what I mean? Would start talking about stuff, and I loved it that like I would probably bring up stuff that she probably had no fucking clue about. And the same vice versa. I can't believe all the bands she threw out. One of my questions was like, well, what, is there any cool bands, that you might suggest that we could, that people over here in the U.S. could check out, and by the time I got to that question, she'd already mentioned like 5 or 6 bands that she loved. So I was like, all right, I think you got this one. But
Yeah, I don't need to go back to this one.
Yeah, what a great girl, and so proud, and such a cool band. So cool to find stuff, from a band that's touring around Belgium during, or not touring during Corona, but find out about a band from Belgium during coronavirus. That these guys have been just killing it over the last few years, touring their asses off, and me actually loving them. You know what I mean? And actually being into it, and somebody taking some time out of their day to actually have a chat. Couldn't be more proud of that girl and her taking her time out of her day. So yeah, it was really cool.
Well, and you're talking about real musicians. Like, that's what I could tell. Like, I mean, obviously I don't know anybody individually, and I only got to hear her, but even she was talking about, and once again, not to give it away, but she was talking about like how she kind of plays the bass. She kind of, you know what I'm saying? And you just multi-talented, right? And I think everybody in that group is, which is what you can tell is, there's bands that they act like they're bands and they go around, right? And then there's bands that are good musicians, that have great musicians in it that make good music. So that's really what I took away from it, is they're hard workers, and hopefully they get all that they wish for,
So Paul,
Yeah.
I did say that we were gonna order some merch. I know you ordered some stuff.
Yeah, so I ordered some stuff. I ordered 2 T-shirts.
Lolo loved the new Nirvana shirt. Paul, did you see those?
No, I haven't seen those.
So they have a song called Bleached, which is the name of the first Nirvana album. So they did a throwback to Nirvana. So they have Slow Crush, their band name, and the Nirvana logo up at the
With
top.
the black and white?
With
With the black and white
black
one?
and
Yeah.
white photo of Slow Crush.
Oh,
with
that's cool.
The word Bleached at the bottom. Lolo saw it and, of course, was like, oh, my God, order that for me right now. So, we got some shirts.
Yeah, I actually ordered it. Like, it was cool because for some odd reason, I don't know about your closet, but my closet, I'd say like 99.99% of the shirts are black. I don't know why. Like, I go across, all my band shirts are black, right? Jessica makes fun of me. So but it's funny when you go to those shows, a lot of the white shirts and the lighter color stuff aren't cool. I mean, they don't have the same design. They don't, right? And so that's what was so cool about their merch stuff, is I jumped on there, and I think the 2 shirts I got, I think both of them were light color T-shirts, and I don't usually do that, so I bought a white one that was super cool, so yeah, they had some really great looking stuff that was not your typical, hey, look at us, we're that indie, merch, we have our generic indie merch stuff, that looks like every other band. They had some really cool looking stuff, so.
Right. Oh, yeah. So yeah, you know what I mean? We got some stuff, and it's coming. But so yeah, I don't know. Check this interview out. Issa Holiday of Slow Crush, everybody. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. It's Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
9 o'clock for you.
Yeah, and so have you managed to acquire a Stella Artois?
Oh, I'm sitting here with a bucket of them.
All right. Well, I
Yeah.
have myself a Desperados, which is the closest to San Diego or Mexico I could get.
That you
seeing
could
as
find.
said. So I
love
have
it.
a tequila flavored beer.
How is it? Kind of gross?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's like kind of teenager Segway beer.
Right. Sample this out. Maybe you'll eventually drink a regular beer.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah. So you're out in Belgium. I'll be honest with you. I had to take a second and look at a map. And I'm like, all right, I know I've been over there. I think I might have been to Belgium. I've been arguing with my cousin about it. I think we either like drove past it on a family vacation.
Yeah, that's most likely.
You know what I mean? Or maybe we stopped. I really can't remember. And it's one of those things I've always kind of felt bad. I'm like, man, I wish I cared more back when I was a little kid, you know?
Yep.
But how is everything over there?
It's not too bad. It's yeah, I guess like the rest of the world, we've sort of awakened from the lockdown a little. So yeah, I don't know, like with the whole pandemic thing, we are quite up there in the numbers of infections, but it's just because we're counting a little differently. So
that's always been the confusing thing about it. We've actually had a podcast about it. It's like if they're not counting correctly or counting accurately, it's like, what are these numbers even meaning? You know what I mean? So it just kind of makes it confusing for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, I mean, like
it's like we just need to get on the same page, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We've had some bad press because we've just been very open with the numbers of cases. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who's
so we
worked
just
off?
kind of got opened back up and kind of got going again.
Yeah.
My wife went back to working at the bar a couple weeks ago, and there's already word that we're going to get shut back down again. Because just the levels have just spiked. You know what I mean? It's like as soon as everybody was allowed to do anything, it just seems like everybody's kind of just running out and being crazy and getting back to normal life. And
I can imagine with 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's down at the beach, hugging, rubbing on each other, spitting on each other, yelling in each other's faces. So I did an ancestry test a couple years ago. And it's basically like a DNA test to find out kind of where your background was from. And it said that I was like 50% Scottish and Irish, and then like 40% or 47% English and Welsh, and like 3% Swedish or something. So when I was looking at the map, I was like, hey, this is like the area that I'm from. You know what I mean? I was like, this is where my ancestors are from. And it seemed like I was kind of spread out all around Belgium. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I wonder if it's like an eye prescription where you can just settle right in the middle. You know what I mean? Maybe I could just say I'm Belgium. You know what I mean? I don't know if it works that way. But.
Well, we are right, and we are right smack in the middle of Europe, which makes it really, really easy for traveling and touring and everything like that when you can actually move.
Right.
But yeah, that's a real benefit for where we're based at. That it's easy to like just hop over the channel, or it was easy until, I would say. So I don't know how much you're aware of the Brexit thing that's going to happen.
A little bit. How do you feel about all that stuff?
Yeah, that's
yeah. Like,
yeah.
we'll leave it at that.
It's unfortunate, but I mean, it's like as if 2020 wasn't bad enough already.
Right.
For the
Let's
music,
lay this shit on you right
the
on top.
music scene in the UK. I mean, like the venues, venues worldwide, they're kind of losing out on money because they can't open up. And then with Brexit happening, limiting the number of bands that can actually play when bands can play again to only local bands or any British bands is gonna also be a big hit to the venues and everything like that. So
or even just to fans of music and people that want to go out to see shows or traveling bands, you know.
So I mean, it's still a little bit up in the air as to what exactly the deal is going to be, but it's going to make it harder for European bands to travel into the UK and British bands to travel out of the UK. So it's it's tough. It's going to be tough, but luckily, I have dual citizenship now, so
that's great.
I've got a British passport, and I'm gonna get my Belgian passport next week. So yeah.
Because you are, I guess we could. I mean, maybe we'll get into this a little bit later. But you're originally from Manchester, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So yeah. Awesome. So I was born in the north of England, and then my dad got a job in Belgium, and so that's why we moved out here. And funnily enough, our guitar player George, he's also from Manchester. but we met him in the Netherlands where he now lives. And yeah, now he's in the band. So it
That's
just
awesome.
kind of worked out that we're a 50-50 Belgian-British band.
So yeah, that's awesome. So before we even get into it, let me just tell you a little bit. So I was listening. I can't even remember what I was doing. I was doing some housework or messing around with my dogs or something, and I was listening to a band named Starflyer 59, which is an old band that was signed to Tooth and Nail Records, which is like the record label that kind of started the Christian kind of screamo music over here in the United States. Had a good run for a good 8 years or so there. But one of the bands that I was listening to, they kind of have a little bit of the hush vocal type thing, loud guitars, and just kind of after my playlist ended, of course, I was kind of paying attention to the music, and I'm like, all right, well, this isn't what was on my playlist. And of course, you guys came on. You aren't just our honorary guest from Belgium. You know what I mean? You didn't just come on to sit and drink beers with me. But so I hear this kind of like thick wall of guitars and these like little soft hush vocals. You know, something. Instantly it just kind of hooked me, you know what I mean? I was like kind of gravitated towards it, and I kind of ran over, and you try to chase it and like beat before the song ends, and you have to go try to hunt what it was. But I totally found your guys' band, threw you guys on, and honestly I couldn't really stop listening to you guys. So I guess this would be a good time for an introduction. You are Issa Holiday from Slow Crush.
Yes, that is right.
That is
me.
awesome. That is awesome. So let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk about kind of where it all started. How old were you when music was introduced? Maybe what was like the first song maybe you remember hearing, like maybe your parents playing for you or something.
Well, so my mum is actually Filipina, so in the Philippines, music is life. So I've just kind of grown up with music surrounding me constantly. I think we were probably one of the first families to have a karaoke machine in the UK.
Oh yeah.
So singing
the
and
karaoke
music
is huge over there, right?
Yeah, it is. It's so huge that people like get murdered for singing "My Way" wrong. So yeah, "My Way" from Frank Sinatra is the biggest hit in the Philippines to sing in karaoke, but you have the risk of dying.
Oh, funny.
So
or not funny, but how crazy. I guess it's not really funny at all.
Yeah. and actually my parents met over a guitar. So yeah,
cool.
Music has been
music has always been around. And
yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
And like as for kind of the first song that sort of stands out in my memory, like the first 7-inch I bought perhaps was I think We're Alone Now by Tiffany.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it when I was writing these questions out, wondering what I wanted to hear from you, and I was like, man, I can't even remember. Like, I think I was young. I think I was into like something embarrassing, like Paula Abdul, like Straight Up Now Tell Me, or something with that cat in the video or something,
They're just classics.
I definitely. What was that?
They're just classics.
Right, of course. What about MTV for you over there in Europe? Was that a big thing growing up when you were getting older?
When we got to Belgium, it was. So in the UK, I don't think it was on the regular network, but then in Belgium it was on regular cable. And I remember like in my teenage years, I used to get home from school and nap and then start doing my homework at like around midnight when Alternative Nation came on. So and then I used to kind of videotape all of the kind of late night cool shows.
Of course.
So yeah, this was a time when MTV was still about music and not about reality shows.
It wasn't just shows and and drama and nonsense.
Yeah, so it was a very big part of kind of my formative years in music, I suppose.
Yeah. So obviously, with parents that were into music and into playing music and around doing the karaoke stuff, obviously the karaoke stuff, I'm sure you guys were constantly doing that growing up. So that kind of was maybe the first time that you were maybe the front center of stage, attention wise.
karaoke wise, oh no.
Yeah, like
No,
I don't
no,
know.
no,
I mean,
no.
like I don't know
Yeah.
what does it take for a young girl to grow up and be like, no, I want to get up on a stage. You know what I mean? I
Oh,
want to be in
no,
front
I
of
was not.
everybody.
So,
You know,
if
I want that
anything,
pressure. It's like that's not normal necessarily. You
no,
know?
I think if anything, that kind of put me off it. So I grew up
Okay.
as an only child, so like karaoke was just singing in the bedroom because nobody's around, like singing
Yeah.
in the living room at the time because you're the only child, so there's no one around
course.
but your mum to listen to you sing.
crazy.
So of course everything was good and everything like that. But then I was very, very shy, and actually I remember a very traumatic experience when I was little. So like in primary school.
Karaoke accident.
No, it wasn't even karaoke related.
Oh.
Well, probably it was karaoke driven, but I used to just kind of hang out in the bushes of the playground by myself and then sing to myself. And then the popular kids found me, and then they started making fun of me, so I never sang after that day.
You're like, screw that. Everybody's gonna hate it.
So
that's that's probably why you are where you are today. You know what I mean? Something deep down within, gave you that power, to overcome it. What was the first time that you picked up a bass?
So like later on, I was an indie kid, like a Britpop kid and stuff, and so just me and some girlfriends who were just sort of playing around with the idea of starting up a band or playing together, and everyone else could play guitar, so somebody had to do something else.
Gotta do something different. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll pick up the bass. I like Alex James from Blur, so I'll pretend to be him, even though he's like 10 feet tall,
right.
and I'm really, really tiny. So yeah, I just picked up the bass like that, and thought, okay, yeah, this can't be hard. It's 4 strings.
Right.
You don't have to kind of
It's very simplistic.
Tiny fingers. So yeah, I started off that, and then I just like sort of taught myself. I took a couple of lessons, but
got the basics down.
Yeah, you kind of lost focus. And then all of a sudden, I was at home and I was like playing this riff, and I was thinking, this is really cool, and it sounds familiar. I know it's from somewhere, and it turned out it was Sabotage from the Beastie Boys.
How funny. We
So,
actually in the podcast, our second episode or something was about the Beastie Boys documentary that Apple just put out, so that's funny that you brought that up. How funny. Growing up I was big into the Smashing Pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the girl bass player Darcy. She always kind of killed it. You know what I mean? Later on, I loved A Perfect Circle a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They had the girl bass player who I believe also played in the Pixies for a little while. So yeah, it's definitely cool. It's awesome to see people that can kill it.
Paz played in Swan as well, and that was really good then. Yeah.
The Swan Project, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So definitely Smashing Pumpkins. Darcy was also an absolute hero for me, and Paz as well, and also just Bikini Kill, being an all-girl band, that was also really that was a band that I really looked up to, and like you mentioned, the Pixies, Kim Gordon. There are just so many kind of classic females of rock back in the 90s that were just so
that just kill it,
inspiring.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as you get into what was, you obviously had the band with your girlfriends. When did it start getting serious with playing with groups or playing gigs or trying to write music?
Yeah, so my first kind of proper gig was actually just in a sort of random cover band, but yeah, that wasn't really serious, but I guess it was when I kind of met the former Slow Crush guy, well, the like Yellow from Slow Crush is still in the band, and Steven, the drummer, the first drummer, that was like back just in my last year of high school, I think, that I met them.
Okay.
And it was because a friend of mine, she got on the bus and bumped into Steven, and they started chatting because they went to the same festival, like a punk hardcore festival. And then he invited her out to a show, and she invited me out, and then it was actually Yella's band that was playing. and their bass player was going to quit, and so my friend was like, Issa plays bass, so
Threw
yeah,
you
that's
out there, volunteered you.
yeah, that's it. And so that's
Now is that the Hearst Rider band?
no.
Okay, that was
This
a little
is
bit later.
Way back.
Okay.
This was a band called Chipmunk at the time.
Okay.
So
It's
it's
like the
kinda,
band names are always so fun to pick, you know.
Yeah, it was Chipmunk that turned into Third Season. It's kind of old school hardcore, melodic hardcore. And so yeah, that was like the first band that did like proper gigs and proper touring. We went out to the UK a couple of times. And then after that band, that turned into In Arm's Reach, which was also old school hardcore. So I've been in a few kind of hardcore bands before this, and then I took a hiatus for a couple of years.
Laid off for a little bit.
And then Hearst Rider, as you mentioned, was a kind of doom metal
project.
band. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a few years before the Slow Crush
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, so
So I guess that kind of sets it up perfectly for me. I mean, you said you were in some like old school hardcore bands, and then like you took a couple years off or whatever, and then you like went into and did like a little doom project for a while. It's like I guess it's like what did we learn from doing all that stuff, and kind of like where was the deciding to kind of, I don't know, switch it up or change it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Yeah.
Slow Crush has a little bit of a different sound. Yes, there's those thick, huge walls of guitars, and like everything sounds big. I was almost trying to think of it like almost like maybe comforting sounding, within like the actual guitars and stuff. And then of course just like the hush kind of cute vocals below it. It did seem like a little bit of a change or a veer off from maybe the old stuff that you were doing. Is that true?
Yeah, it was a change. It was also kind of because when Hearst Rider, when the singer from Hearst Rider left the band, we like played around trying to get me just to sing vocals over that, but I can't grunt. Or I just don't have a powerful voice. So that didn't really work. So we just thought of other options. And Yellow had wanted to do a kind of more 90s inspired band for a long time. And the first guitar player, Jan, he'd also had that kind of goal set in his mind, amongst the 20 other bands that he had already played in at the time. So we just kind of tried that out, and I think like if you listen back to the Easy P, you can still hear that more sort of punky sound, I suppose.
Of course. A little more raw.
And like at the time, we were kind of like the first sort of covers we tried to do were from Pity Sex.
Okay.
So I drew vocal inspiration, I suppose, from Brittany from Pity Sex, and other bands like Jaguar, who's a German band, and Mumrunner from Finland. Both of those bands, I'm happy to say that I'm now friends with them. So it's really been cool to kind of get to know them a little bit more. And then funny to think back that they sort of helped build my voice, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
or it gave you an idea of maybe how you could do your version of it.
Yeah, that's
weird
right.
Way,
so yeah, so I think like with the style of music we were trying to play, instrumentally, it just felt like the right fit to use a voice that was more natural to me rather than force a more powerful voice.
Yeah.
So and then their style of singing just really gelled with me. So and I thought, it doesn't all have to be Beyonce.
Yeah, of course,
These girls can rock out.
So how would you describe the actual sound of your band of Slow Crush?
The sound of Slow Crush?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I hear I looked up and like everybody has their own long descriptions of kind of like how they would describe it, and I kind of thought it was funny, some of them, you know what I mean? The shoegaze, you know what I mean, was kind of funny. I was like, I typed into to Spotify a shoegaze playlist, you know, and I put it on. I go, I guess I do like shoegaze music. I go, what is it? Just a bunch of like loud guitars and like hush vocals. I go, I've been into this stuff forever.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's
the one I liked the most was Dream Pop.
Yeah. So
that one like really seemed to fit.
Yeah, I think that's a good description. So the dreamy kind of floaty vocals do lean towards the dream pop description. I suppose you can call us shoegaze because we have a lot of pedals and the guys like to stomp on them a lot and make some loud noise.
Nothing wrong with that.
But then there's also sometimes a kind of doomy vibe behind our music as well. So
for sure,
I really don't know how. Like I find it sometimes silly to have to put bands in buckets like that.
Right. And then when you start to do it, the definition is like a paragraph long of trying to describe what the actual sound is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just go and listen to it and see if you like it or not. And then just put it in your like bucket.
How I would describe it to myself would be like sexy dream pop, doom for your sister, seeking shelter from a fucked up world. Something like that. You know what I mean? That would be my kind of breakdown.
I'm happy with that description. I'll put it on the next album.
Right. Put it in the next description when we need to lengthen the paragraph to describe the sound. So let's get along with it. Can you tell me a little bit about like kind of the 2016 through 2018 when the Aurora album was released? Seems kind of like a crazy kind of quick time frame, a quick little jump to something that I think is very amazing. So I'm just kind of wondering like how everything happened so fast, how that album got put out. Any thoughts about it?
So
that
are
you'd
we.
like to share? Right.
That's a big question mark.
I cannot remember.
Yeah. So yeah, like we started off in 2016. We had our first show in a very, very small club. I think it has a 70 max cap
That's
or
awesome.
something. It's got a killer
it won't
staircase.
be that embarrassing. There's only going to be 70 people there tops.
Yeah, but it was packed. It was very well
yeah.
filled. And I don't know if that's because I was handing out free donuts.
Right. But I'm sure you killed it, obviously.
But yeah, so that was our first show. And our third show was Roadburn Festival, which is like a really, really huge sort of, psychedelic, I don't know, it's a really huge festival that kind of takes over the whole of the city of Tilburg in Holland.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very, very
so
prestigious
having that
thing.
as a huge starting point obviously helped things out.
So we were a bit nervous, and that was just because the booker of Yella's previous band Werewolves at the time, he was we sent him demos of the Ease EP just to kind of see what he thought about it and stuff, and he sent it off to the guy Walter that runs Roadburn. And he fell in love with it, so he asked us to play there immediately. And we were like, okay, we need to write a couple more songs now.
Right.
So it was the pressure was on, but we made it, and we had a really, really good time. So it's an amazing festival. So if you're ever in Tilburg, anytime when you're allowed to be there again,
Right.
Definitely check that festival out.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. What's it like being a band today with social media? Does it make it easier for a band to kind of break out and become something big? Or do you kind of feel in kind of a way it's kind of killing the artistic side of artists, leaving nothing to... I don't know. I remember looking back in the album art and folding open the slip sleeves, and I'm sure people, that loved records back in the day would probably say they loved folding open the record and looking at the different pictures. You think that social media is kind of stripping a lot of that away, or do you think it is helping people out?
Yeah, I think that that's definitely like one of the drawbacks, I suppose, of the streaming culture now. But then again, I don't know. It's like there are a lot of pros and cons because, of course, it's bringing your music out to the farthest reaches of the world where it may not have been heard before. But
Correct. Me here in San Diego.
yeah,
And now I'm bugging you, making you talk to me at 9 o'clock at night in my morning time or whatever.
but then on the other hand, there's just so much out there. So although you've got that wider reach, you're not certain that the people that you want to listen to your music will actually hear it unless you like pay the sponsorship or you get on a massive playlist or something like that. So it's a double-edged sword, but I think nowadays that it's really hard to get by without it. So we just try to use it in our favor as much as we can, and use it as a way to keep in touch with the people that are far away, especially right now when you don't have the flexibility to go out and play a show. That's the only way that you can.
Times that you need those people to be hearing the music and responding and putting it out there. That's awesome. Yeah. So when does Roar come into everything? The Roar Records. Is that who you guys are signed to right now?
Yeah, so with the Aurora record, when we had that recorded, we also just sent it around to a couple of labels. So you did
Aurora all by yourself?
Well, it was on Holy Roar, but we funded the record, like the recordings and stuff. We did that all by ourselves. Yeah, we
awesome.
We went to the ranch in Southampton, UK. We went to record that, and then with the product we shopped around. Yes, with Neil Kennedy. Yeah, Neil is a top man. And the
album sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, and Daly George, he also helped out. He did a lot of the recording as well. And our experience at the ranch was just fantastic. Those guys are just really, really encouraging and very helpful and in tune to everything. So like the amount of times that drum got tuned is phenomenal. And yeah, they're just so attentive and involved with your project that it made recording not so much of a kind of a heavy task for us. It was a really enjoyable experience that we had. So yeah, we recorded it at the ranch, and then we just sent it out to a couple of labels. Holy Roar was a label that really kind of spoke to us because of their DIY ethic as well, and just like having met them all in person now, the team is just fabulous, and yeah, really easy to talk to.
So how excited are they when they receive a recording like what you guys did? Are they blown away or what?
Well, so they were enthusiastic, and we're very thankful that they agreed to take us on.
That's awesome.
And yeah, they've got some fantastic acts. They had some fantastic acts already before us. Not saying that like we were fantastic. That came across wrong. But I mean they already had an established roster with like bands like Rolo Tomasi, and our good friends from Pine, and A.A. Williams was also signed to them in the beginning, and now they're just growing, also branching out into more sort of bands in our style, like Narrowhead are now signed to Holy Roar as well.
That's awesome. So one of the questions I had was, can you suggest some bands that I might not have heard about, but you already have? So I'm excited to go back and listen to this, and I'm going to take some little notes and write all this stuff down and check them out. So I'm excited.
Two more things that you should check out, also related to one of the bands I previously mentioned. So the band Pine, Pijn. They have a side project that is a kind of collab with a band called Conjurer, who were also on Holy Roar Records. That project is called Curse These Metal Hands. And if you listen to the song High Spirits and it doesn't make you smile, then
then you're probably not alive, and you don't want to be friends with that person.
And then on another note, to make you cry, you should check out on Bandcamp All Partial. That's the name of his project. He's the drummer from Pine. And he just released a cover of Motion Picture Soundtrack by Radiohead last Friday.
Awesome.
And I've been obsessed with that. So
hell yeah. So obviously we love Roar Records. They allow you to come out and at least talk to me today and do this podcast. What about the touring? 2019 through 2020, you did 160 shows all over the place. What's it like leaving home with kind of, somewhat of a bigger fan base and doing good to kind of go to some, I don't know, unknown places where you obviously don't have much of a push and play smaller shows? Is there any kind of discouragement, frustration? What's that like for you?
Well, I actually can't say that there's too much discouragement from the turnout. We've had some good kind of responses. We get like better responses elsewhere than we do back in Belgium sometimes. Right. But that's just because Belgium and Holland, they're kind of sort of
they're spoiled to you.
They're very cool, They don't tend to show their emotions. Like I remember we played a show in a city called Ghent, out here in Belgium, and like after the show, at least 3 people came to me and they said, "I really wanted to dance, but nobody was dancing." I'm like, dude. But yeah, it's they're very reserved. But then when you go out to the States, people are just kind of insane. Right. And we've had also we last year we had so many really, really good tours paired up with really, really fun other bands. So like it started off, I think our biggest, like our real biggest tour was together with the band Gouge Away from Florida. And we just had so much fun out with them. And I think like when we were paired with them, it was funny because Aurora was released at the same time as their record, so we were kind of record buddies,
kind of lined
record
up equally
twins,
and ready to hit the road with the new album.
Yeah. So well, it was already a year old at the time, I think, or almost a year old, but it was just kind of cool to sort of be able to join up with them, and they're a more hardcore band as well, so it's sometimes fun to kind of gain fans from that wouldn't necessarily listen to your music, perhaps.
Of course.
But yeah, I think that the style that we play, because it sort of crosses over a couple of genres, it's easy to surprise people.
Of course, yeah. Oh, especially, you know what I mean, when you have the balls to get up there and do what you guys do, you know what I mean, in the middle of a hardcore screaming lineup, you know what I mean? People got to appreciate it, it's awesome.
Yeah.
When you guys do live stuff, do you guys ever do any kind of loops or programmed tracks that you play to?
We have some loops in between the tracks. So we kind of have a couple of loops that sort of fill in between tracks while we're tuning, or just to kind of create some atmosphere.
Of course, but nothing that you're actually playing over.
And we have a couple of support tracks as well, just to sort of boost the body of the guitars and everything else.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we just kind of have it, because like with the recordings, we've got about 7 different guitar lines.
Of course.
So
a whole board of just guitars.
So yeah, it's sometimes hard to kind of capture that just with 2 guitars, even though they've got like 50 pedals between them.
Of course. Everything's patched into everything else.
Yeah, but it's just we also have our own kind of light show that's also hooked up to the loops and everything, and smoke machine and everything like that. So we just kind of create the whole atmosphere. We try to bring the whole package along with us. So
you guys do have some live shows that you did have recorded on that's available on like YouTube and stuff that I was checking out. Mm-hmm. They sound amazing.
Thank you.
For live, you know what I mean? For live recordings, I was almost kind of happy because like your vocals are a little bit higher, which I don't know if that's on purpose or not. You know what I mean? But it's just kind of cool to kind of hear just a different mix of those awesome songs that I've been kind of loving on the album. So, you know, if anybody wants to, definitely check out the live recordings. I definitely think they're worth it. It's not a normal live recording that just sounds bassy and that is unlistenable. It's actually like listening to the album, but just a little bit of a different mix on it. So it's really cool.
A lot also depends on the sound guy. We have to have a good luck with the sound guy, that they know what we're trying to get at. So we've had some
super important.
Yeah, you talked about some frustrations before, so we've had some frustrations.
That would be where it would be.
Yeah, sound engineers
Nothing with the
that think
people
that they
or
know
the crowds,
better. But yeah, we have like the utmost respect to all of the people who have to work with us, because we know that we're a difficult band to mix in general, just because of the whole soft vocals, loud guitars. So we know it's a tough job. And that's why we have a kind of technical writer that spells out exactly what we need. And it's not because we're like really, really picky, but it's just that we know that that's the best way that it'll come across. So,
and if you're going to do it, you want to do it right.
Yeah.
No,
we try.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. After touring that much, you know what I mean, over those couple of years, you know, how are you guys holding up not doing anything? You guys doing all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, as good as we can.
Yeah.
How can people, you know, such as myself over here in the States that hears a band, you know, and kind of falls in love and adds a bunch of stuff to their playlists, what can, you know, people do to actually help out a band at this time where they're obviously struggling, trapped down, not able to kind of get out there and play the shows that they were depending on playing? And you know, of course, a band needs the revenue coming in to kind of keep it going. What can people do to kind of help out at this time? Can we just check out, you know, just mostly just buy merch and support the album and vinyl sales?
Yeah, that I think like right now that's already a huge help. Buying merch from bands, supporting them if they're doing any kind of streaming events, like streamed shows or anything that are paid.
Mm-hmm.
Log in, check them out, and buy a ticket. Also for venues, if you've got a ticket for a show that has now been cancelled, consider not asking for a refund, because those venues can use that money to just kind of survive through this, because
That's
obviously they've got to pay their rent as well. And it's just very scary that they're not getting as much, that they're not getting subsidized in the same way that other businesses are. As with artists are also seen as a non-essential job, a non-essential occupation, whereas I'm pretty sure like once everyone was in lockdown, the only thing that they did was listen to Spotify and play and watch Netflix. So
but not essential. Yeah Essential for the soul, you know what I mean, but not essential for, you know, I guess physically, I guess is
and I think we're just very
would
fortunate that like that us as the band members of Slow Crush, that we all sort of had our jobs to fall back on, except from George, who works in the entertainment industry, so his events were also cancelled. So yeah, it's tough for those artists whose sole job is really their music. So yeah, they need as much help as they can get.
So hit the Slow Crush website, Spotify, whatever, buy some t-shirts. I love the little long sleeve geometric kind of pattern stuff. I like the Hamza shirt. I thought they were all really, really cool. So we already placed an order, and we'll be doing some more pretty soon here.
Oh, thank you.
So as far as like future plans without touring, are we writing some new stuff? Are we, you know what I mean? Is there something that we've
Yeah.
been maybe waiting to release and you're just kind of like, damn it, we just need to kind of get back to normal before it's the right time?
Yeah, we've got an album written out, and we're just kind of fine tuning it. So last weekend was the first weekend we could all get together and practice again. So yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning,
How'd that go?
George, our guitar player, he lives in the Netherlands, so he has to actually take a train for 3 hours to get out to us. But yeah, he did it, and we got together, spent the whole weekend pretending it was tour because all we did
Right.
was play music and eat really, really greasy vegan food.
Oh yeah.
and drank beers like desperados.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we had a really, really good time. It was fun. We managed to kind of play through the album tracks that we're planning on recording together, and it just felt really, really good.
That's
So
awesome.
the next steps are just figuring out how to get to a studio that we want to record at, because they're all
Next
outside
step,
of the country.
let life go back to normal.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome. Do you have any ideas as far as studios that you guys would like to record in?
yeah, we've got ideas. It's just
Toying them around,
it's just
fighting over it.
travel.
Yep.
Because of course with travel and timing, like who knows when the second wave will hit, and we'll all be forced back into lockdown. So it's just really
course.
hard to plan without knowing if you're going to be able to move in the next month or 3. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting on the right moment to sort of book anything in, and then yeah, see what shows we'll bring. Yeah.
That's awesome. So one last thing that I would like to do, and then I'll let you get off the phone if that's all right.
Sure.
Can we do maybe like a quick little list of questions that are kind of silly? You just kind of give a quick answer to.
Okay.
Yeah. Something that you're most proud of in life.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know.
She's like, no, or just say pass.
Oh, pass.
You have a favorite quote by anybody?
A favorite
Famous
quote.
person, friend of yours? Mine's "fuck it all."
That's a pretty good one.
My buddy Tony said it, and then we can't stop saying it now.
I'll take that.
You're gonna agree with that? You're going
Yeah.
with Tony?
Yeah, Tony.
Anybody in the band know how to do a Rubik's Cube?
I don't know.
Somebody needs to get on that.
We have
Somebody
not.
needs to
Yeah,
know
no.
how.
I don't think I've ever held a Rubik's cube.
Well, I'll send you one. I'll send it to the PO box.
Okay, send us one, and then we'll just like stick it in the van, and then whoever completes
Yes,
it will...
that's the road cube.
Yeah,
I
the road
like
cube.
it. What about this one? Do bands doubt other bands with girl singers?
Do bands doubt other bands with girl singers?
Yeah. Is that a tough one? Pass.
I don't think they dare
don't know, I just
to
thought it was
mention
kinda-
it in our face, though.
They fucking better not.
I don't know. I'm pretty.
Listen
I
to
might
Aurora,
seem,
bitches.
I might seem small and timid, but a lot of people are scared of me. So
Yeah, they're jealous. Do we believe in UFOs or aliens?
oh, absolutely.
Hell yeah. My brother doesn't. He's a pussy, huh? She's like, next question. Adam smash into your smile. How do we do this?
What's that?
Adam smash into your smile.
Oh,
That's your lyrics. How do you do that? She's like, I don't know.
someone in the face.
Right. Is your music hard to play when you're in a really good mood, when you're happy?
No, it makes
Like-
me happy. It does
Hell
make me
yeah.
happy. Although it's miserable, although I sing about miserable things, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of this the joy of being miserable, or the misery of being joyful.
You find it in there somewhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Have you ever seen a miracle or a magic trick?
Probably. I'm
Number 9. Howard Stern or Joe Rogan? Or none?
none.
None. Do you love your voice?
No.
You should. It's amazing. Jesus or boogie boards?
Boogie boards.
Hell yeah. Do you believe in ghosts? Oh, I guess you just said boogie boards, so you already answered that one. Why were so many great musicians and great albums written on drugs?
Oh, because music is an escape. So actually, it's not really necessary because you can escape through music as much as you can escape through drugs.
I agree. Tea or whiskey before a show, before singing?
I would say tea because I'm British and I do take a big flask of it with me on stage.
Hell yeah. Cats or dogs?
Cats!
Cats or humans?
Cats?
Hell yeah. Have you ever heard of Mitch Hedberg?
No.
Comedian? No? Favorite
No.
comedian out there?
Do I have a favorite comedian?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody-
I've seen Bill Bailey live. He's amazing. He also does musical stuff. He's funny.
Oh, yeah. Best thing to come from quarantine for you personally?
That I spend more time with my cats.
Hell yeah. Favorite album that you can listen to front to back over and over?
Oh, I can't say an album now because all I have in my head is that cover of Motion Picture Soundtrack
Right.
by All Partial, which you
That's
should
all you're
listen to
thinking of.
right now.
First song that you danced to?
Like slow dance or I've never
Sure.
slow dance, so I don't.
Oh, something that comes to. Oh, well, that's good. That's.
First song I danced to, I jumped off sofas to "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi.
Yes. Me and my brother used to listen to that when we were younger. That's awesome. White or brown rice?
I'm Filipino, so I would say white, but I
White
tend to eat brown nowadays.
Yeah. Try to be healthy.
hmm
Trimmers or Point Break?
Oh, yeah. Point Break.
Basically bacon or Swayze.
Yeah, I'd have to say Point Break. Sorry.
Point Break. Hell yeah. Good girl. All right, let's see here. Do you have an opinion on police violence, solution to homelessness, or have an opinion on Donald Trump? Actually, we're getting out of time here. Last one. Do you agree with scientists that psychedelic mushrooms can help treating depression and mental health issues, manage smoking and alcohol addictions, and help cancer-related psychiatric disorders?
If the scientist says that they can help people, then I hope they can. And if it's
Hell yeah.
mushrooms, then it's something natural. So I would.
Even better, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for asking me.
Slow Crush, they have a new single, Real. It's amazing. The album Aurora, it's available on iTunes and Spotify. Everybody go listen. Make sure to keep an eye out for Slow Crush on tour whenever everything opens up and again. Is the Stella Factory open?
The Stella Factory's always open.
Hell yeah. They're like, we're never shutting this bitch down.